What's going on, everyone? In today's video, we're gonna do a little bit of live sourcing over on BookMine. We're gonna be filtering by the gold meter, which is just absolute awesome feature. So what's going on, Victor? You ready to get into it?
What's up, Joji? I am excited. Who doesn't like to talk about gold? So let's go.
Absolutely, let's do it. All right, so we're over here on BookMine. You can see that there's been about 3,000 books mined. There's tons of different meters up here, but in this video specifically, we're gonna go ahead and talk about the gold meter, Victor. So what you'll notice when you're actually on BookMine is that if you click the gold meter button, that you have a couple different options. You got null, you've got great price, good price, and close. So we've got basically 4 different categories, and I think we should talk about each of them, how they're determined, and then we'll do some live sourcing. So let's just start with the best. Let's just start with the great price. You know, I can come over here and click only to just show me great price books. Victor, can you kind of walk us through what does it mean if BookMine thinks a book has a great price?
Well, first off, the gold meter is what makes us different, right? We're over here letting you know that we believe if we say great price, that's our stamp basically saying we believe that right now this book is definitely viable. So books that are at great prices, basically what we did was we reviewed about 100 different data points. We looked at the 7-day average, the 30-day average, the 90-day average. We looked at the new price, also the 30 and 90. We even looked at eBay prices. We put all of that into one kind of price point, and then if it's below that price point, we would say that this is definitely a great book, and you need to check it out. So we put great prices to books that we believe are currently undervalued, right? So a book that we believe if you were to purchase it today, it is definitely below what it normally sells for. And I just see you building up a book here, Joji, that it definitely proves our point. I mean, this book is just in the recent past is over here selling in the 70s and now substantially lower than that.
Right. Now it's down in the 20s. So great price is the way that you can think of it is, you know, if the current price today is well below what we see historical sales for in the past, that determines a great price. Now, of course, it's a sliding scale. There are going to be some books that are amazing deals, and there's going to be some deals that are good prices. So what's the difference between a great price here, Victor, and let's say a good price?
Just the difference between how much better that book actually could make you, how much more money that book could actually make you. So if that book is, say, the difference is between like say the $20 to $30 range, that's a really great price. If it's like $10 or less, that is probably a good price, right? So there's a slight difference between the two. Doesn't mean either one. Both of them are great. You need to look at both of those.
Right. So I mean, this is a good meter here. Right, so you can see, I mean, we've got sales as high as 50 way back in the beginning of the year. More recently, the sales were in the 30s, and then a couple more recently actually in the $15 range. And then you can see today's price is right around $7 plus shipping. By the way, guys, BookMine is going to show you the real all-in shipping price. So it's actually $11.68. So I know over here on Keep It actually says $7.20, but it doesn't actually include shipping, but BookMine does include shipping. So essentially what you're saying is, okay, you know, here's a book that sells for like $30 and it's at $11. So that's a good price, right, Victor? I mean,
that's definitely a good price. But compare the two which we just saw, one was selling in the 70s and now down to 20. That's a great price. This one was in the 30s and selling currently at like $10. So that's the difference between the two. Both you're going to make money off of. It's just the variance between the two.
Absolutely. And guys, we're specifically focusing on gold meter. You guys will notice that we have other things like supply meter, sellout meter, and so you'll see these other colors, and we'll definitely, you know, take a deep dive into those on our YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe to the BookMine YouTube channel. We got tons of resources to help you guys find books, but we'll only be looking at that gold meter. Next up, Victor, we've got close, and it looks like there's actually a lot of them. There's about 1.4K close books here. So what does it mean if the book is actually close?
So if a book is close, it means that it's of course, just as its definition, it's close to a good price. We are at the cusp. We are within the margin of error of that book, and we're deciding whether or not, based on other indicators, whether or not this book should be shown. So on its own, just close isn't good enough to make it on BookMine. But if there's close and another plus here and there, it then will show up on BookMine. So yeah, close is great. Close, you're going to get a few points, and then from there, if there's anything else that BookMine sees, then you're going to show up on BookMine.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, basically what you guys can see is for every single close, there's got to be one of these other 4 boxes that's light green or green to show like, hey, green light, all these are short supply. The one that I just looked at is actually a fascinating book. It's Return of the Jedi sketchbook. It's an extremely short supply, sell out very likely. And you can kind of see why, right? This is selling right around the $10 range, $10 to $12, $13 range. And then you can see it just drop down to $234. So, its price is $6. It's about 50% of what it's been selling for in the past, but at the same time, it's not really selling for a lot, so there isn't much margin there. But Victor, this is extremely short supply, sell out very likely. And so, what is something that we know from just selling books for years? What happens when the offer count or the number of people on a listing is very, very low?
Right, exactly. The book sells out. I mean,
Yeah.
what BookMine did was look at the historical past of this book and realize, oh, that this book is selling 3 to 5 times a month, and there's
Right.
only 2 copies left. So
Right.
these 2 copies within this next month are going to sell out, and
Yep.
more than likely, this price is going to spike. This is
Right.
an anomaly that that the price has dropped, and
Right.
also the used offer
Absolutely.
count has dropped. This is
Yep.
this is a great example, a great book.
Absolutely. Because you can see most of the time, right? You can see how when the used price normally goes down in a book, you can see how the offer count starts to rise. But this is an anomaly. Like Victor just said, this book just dropped in price to a really historically low price, and it's at a really low offer count. And what's really amazing, and once you guys are, much better with your foundational keep of sourcing skills, you can go back in time and see, okay, well, what has this book sold for in the past? And I'm seeing tons of sales in the 20s, $25 mark. And this is a book that I don't see any reason why it couldn't sell for $25, right? I mean, it's not a bad book at all.
In January 2021 there, it's kind of repeating what it just did before in January 2021.
Yeah, let's take a look. Yep.
The used offer count there kind of just crashed, right? It went down, and then the used price just spiked. So
Right.
it's doing that same exact thing again.
Right. Very good. Interestingly, it doesn't look like it probably sold that super high price, but at the same time, right, I'm not going to take a book that normally sells for 20 and then try to sell for 3 times the amount, right? Especially if it doesn't have historical data for showing it could go that high. But you do see that as soon as the price dropped back down to 20, which was a little bit higher than what it was historically selling for, it actually sold pretty quickly. So here's a book that, honestly, Victor, you can tell me, what you think about this, but again, BookMine is going to give us the all-in price of $633. You can see that's going to come from this plus shipping. So over on SellerAmp, I could type in 633. I'm thinking that normally, Victor, right, this is a book that's probably from a prime seller going to be selling at 15, which obviously is not going to make any money. But if this is about to go out of stock and there are sales in the $25 range, I mean, this book turns around if you could sell for 25. And if you could get maybe 27 or 29.99, then all of a sudden, this is a book that could do quite well, right?
Yeah, I mean, double your ROI.
Yeah. And by the way, guys, we're looking at a book that's close, right? So what we're really trying to do is just show you how nuanced BookMine is and really how special it is, how unique it is. I mean, all these factors work together to try to help us put the best possible books in front of your eyes so that you guys can do your own research and make sure that you're finding good books. Now, one thing that I want to move on to next, Victor, is, what the heck does this null price mean? So if I go and reset and go back to gold meter, what the heck does it mean if there's a null?
I think this is pretty unique. This is actually a really great feature. So in any other system, in any other process, even on Keepa, nobody's showing these 12 books, right? Because the price on these 12 books actually are saying these are not actually a good deal. But everything else about this book is green. So we got the extremely short supply. We have Amazon just going out of stock, or the lowest price ever. And so all those together wanted to show you, BookMine wants to show you, hey, well, everything else is green. You got to at least take a look.
Right, absolutely. So there's definitely some, there is opportunity looking at those null books, but essentially, like Victor said, the price isn't the price isn't low enough relative to past historical sales for us to say this is a good price or a great price. It's not. But like you mentioned, there's these other indicators that give the book potential. So don't sleep on the null, but we kind of want to let you know what null means, and that's what it means here.
Yeah, because so there was a few people who've actually asked whether null was an error, and no, it's not. It's just those books actually have a potential based on these other indicators.
Absolutely. And so there's 12 out of basically a total of 3,000 books that show up with that null meter, that null feature. So Let's go and click reset. Now, one other important thing I want to mention is the BookMine score here, and we'll have other videos on BookMine score, but all of these factors, which are very important, will go into weighting that BookMine score. Can you tell us a little bit about how Gold Meter will weight the BookMine score, whether or not it's higher or lower?
Yeah, so the BookMine score is heavily weighted on the Gold Meter. So it's actually the main influencer of it. So if it's a great price, it's going to get a really great BookMine score off the bat. And then each one of the other indicators slightly influence that score. But the main one is the Gold Meter. And then each one after that, I'd say a point or two based on the other indicators.
Absolutely. I mean, here's a gold book. It's got a BookMine score of 9. No, this is a great price. You're actually seeing a lot of these books that are great prices, their scores are much higher. And that's just because fundamentally, if you guys are going to make money buying books on Amazon and flipping them on Amazon, you need to be buying books that are below their true intrinsic market value, right? I mean, that's the way that you make money.
Right.
You know, other competitor softwares out there are going to try to teach you to buy low merchant offers and flip them for inflated buy box prices, which can work sometimes. But a better business model in the way that arbitrage has worked for thousands of years is that if you want to make money, you've got to buy something below what somebody is willing to pay for it all the time. So if you can buy something below the true intrinsic market value and then flip it for what it's worth, that's how you profit. And that's what we're really trying to help you guys do here. So, and
that's what BookMine is.
That's what BookMine is, right? Yeah. So here's a book that we can see is a great price. It's also extremely short supply, which is why this hasn't, which is why it's a 9. It's also stable. So it's got a lot of positive indicators for it. And what's actually interesting is you can actually see this book drop from $239. It dropped down all the way to $79.99. You can actually see the offer count drop from 8 to 4, and the price just jumped right back up. There are a few sales, in the recent past at $246. And potentially this is a book that, can sell for quite a bit of money. 5 people are tracking this book. I mean, an amazing book that holds a ton of value. It doesn't sell all the time, but that just shows you, that's a book that BookMine found. And it's actually, kind of been live for a little while, which is probably why it's gone. Someone probably on BookMine was like, hey, this is a great deal. And they picked it up, right, Victor?
About 2 hours ago, someone came in and bought that book, which was a really great deal, $79. And it was just recently selling in the 200s.
Absolutely. So maybe we can do a little bit more live sourcing here. And again, one thing that we want you guys to know is that our goal, again, is to get you guys in front of the best possible books. We're not saying that if we got a BookMine score of 8 or BookMine score of 10 to buy it. All we're saying is, guys, look at that book. Even if it's got a BookMine score of 4, even 5 or 6, Victor, right? There's enough going for it. There's enough potential that it could potentially be profitable. There needs to be a human eye looking at it. And if you can just look through, a bunch of these books that are on BookMine, I guarantee you, you're going to be able to find a lot of awesome books. Yeah. And particularly as you guys get stronger with your foundational keeper knowledge, that's when it's really going to kick into high gear, and you guys are going to see that, whoa, the power of BookMine is insane. And I don't know what you think about this, Victor, but all I know is that people who have better foundational keeper skills will realize how incredible this software is. People who are kind of newer with keeper foundational skills, it's going to take them a while to learn and see why it's so amazing. But I mean, I think both of us would consider ourselves avid keeper readers. I mean, combined, we've read hundreds of thousands of keeper graphs. I mean, this software is pretty special. So. Oh yeah, no, it's golden. It's an awesome software that really, any book that is 4 and above deserves your time. Deserves at least a click on. Let's look at it and see why BookMine has said this book is a 4 or above. Each one of them, definitely go in and dig into it a little bit more. Yep. I mean, so here's the definition of a great price. I mean, look at this book. You can see third-party new price, Amazon new price is over $300. I mean, it's almost up to $400. There are sales rank drops, meaning this book has been selling. And then the used price has dropped from $480 down to $199. Now, this looks like potentially it's a 2-volume set, so you'd want to make sure when you go to the listing that, it comes with both offers it comes with both volumes. And depending on who you are, you may or may not feel comfortable spending a bunch of money. But factually, I mean, that's an amazing price, Victor, right? I mean,
that's a great price. And it just dropped. Shows you how powerful BookMine is. It literally just found it and presented it to you. Like, here, go buy this book.
Yeah. So, I mean, what's also awesome is we can see seasonality with a great price. So you can see August, September, this book was doing really well. It's classified as a college book here, and you can see it's getting really cheap. Now, it does say very oversupply. And again, one thing that you guys will realize as you start selling more books is that as the amount of offers on the listing, as the amount of competition on the listing increases, it does become harder, right, Victor, for you to sell the book, and generally books can tank in price, right? So we're seeing a lot of good books here. I mean, anything else that we have about the gold meter specifically? I think we did a pretty good job covering it. Obviously we can easily filter it. And anything else that you got?
No, I think it's a really great feature here. Make sure that you pay attention to it. I know my recommendation is to look at the BookMine score first and then see what the gold meter is, whether or not it's good or close or anything like that, and then proceed from there. Then click on the book and look at it.
Absolutely. And what's so amazing about BookMine as well is that it's not like you can only filter by one thing. You can filter by so many different things in combination. So going back to what Victor said, looking at BookMine score, one way that you could easily look at a BookMine score that you're happy with is, let's say you really only want to look at BookMine scores that are 7 or higher. Well, you could filter BookMine score 7 to 10, and then you could say we only want to look at great prices, and you can go further than that. You're like, you know what? As far as supply meter, I don't want to look at anything that's very oversupply or oversupply. Boom. I mean, you just got an awesome set of filters there. You got 222 books right now that got a BookMine score of 7 or more. They're all great prices according to at least what our algorithm is trying to come up with, and is a book that is not in oversupply. I mean, you can even go further, right, Victor? You can say, I only want to look at extremely short supply. I'm looking at 3 books here, right? And so as this refreshes, you're going to be able to see on the
first page. Oh
yeah, that's right. Got to go to the first page. So I mean, just amazing things that you guys can look at with different combination of filters. But yeah, that's all about Gold Meter. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys on the next sourcing session.
All right. Thanks, guys.